It's more or less your hat that's blocking your eyes, but it don't really matter.
I can put it on backwards. Be cool.
Yeah. You can do whatever you want.
How much 5 head do I have here? Is it a lot?
Yeah. Just a hair.
Why don't you just put the hat back on?
Just a hair.
All right, guys. So today we're going to be touching on a topic that's kind of interesting and it has a lot of lineage here in the mountains in a lot of comical and serious ways, and that's alcohol. Booze, okay? So the old adage in our family was we stayed away from booze because Darnells can get a little crazy when they hit that old white liquor. And there's a history of our family of raising it, making it, and drinking it. At least that's what was told to us, the joke, my dad would always say. So we kind of stayed away from it a lot in our life. We weren't big drinkers. I don't remember being a big drinker.
I think that the reason why we weren't big drinkers is because we had so much alcoholism here. I don't know if it was just the mountain culture of alcoholism or just the stress and depression that came with it, which is a total different topic for another day. But alcohol is kind of shunned upon.
We live in the Bible Belt. Definitely, a lot of negatives that come with alcohol. We saw it. We work in agriculture.
O'Doul's.
Yeah,
our parents drank O'Doul's.
That's how O'Doul's.
They like the taste of booze, but they
like the taste of it. That's me. I usually, the kids when they try a beer or something, they're always, it's horrible. Why you like this? I had adults say the same thing, but to me, a beer tastes good. I like the flavor of beer. Never was a big alcohol like spirits drinker. Don't love that, and don't love wine, but love the taste of a brew.
Well, that skipped you and went straight to me because I could be a wino.
You're a wino. Yeah.
I'm a definite.
Well, that comes
wino.
in the family too.
I just love a taste of wine. I don't know. And I think part of my problem is I can handle a beer that's light. But every time I drink, no offense to craft beer. I have great friends who are craft brewers, and I think the world of them. Yeah. But craft beer is just not.
Bitter beer is not a fun friend to me.
The hoppier, the more I have a feeling that it tastes like pine sol. I just get this.
Well, let's talk about the thing that made me. One of the biggest reasons I didn't drink. There's a handful of them. Didn't drink much until I was almost old enough to legally drink. First time I ever had a drink of alcohol was the stigma behind alcoholism and drinking. And I always felt like I had a sense of responsibility. I'm not saying I was good at it, but I always felt responsible for my actions and how I was portrayed because we had this family business. So I didn't want to go around and have a reputation of being someone who drank and did silly things because I do enough silly things sober.
We didn't have time. I feel like we didn't have time to drink. Drinking wasn't a possibility for us. Part of it was we were kind of raised in a weird home where alcohol was somewhat shunned because, no one got drunk. I don't remember a lot of drunk people. The ones I remember, we kind of gave a little bit moralistic judgment to them in a sense.
More of a pitying people who were drinking.
Our grandfather was an alcoholic too.
That had a lot to do with it, I think, too. We heard our father tell stories about what a good man our grandfather was, his father, but how much alcohol would change him in the moment. And Dad could tell by looking through the blinds of the windows out the front door whether or not our grandfather had been drinking on his way home. I get goosebumps hearing Dad talking about those stories because you could see the reaction it had on my father. Our father kind of terrified of alcoholism because he felt like it was a problem that he was going to have if he didn't just keep himself from drinking. Not to say that our father never drank. I've seen my father drink, but very few parts of my life had a father who drank too much in them.
But we also grew up in the 21st century. I became a bartender and started to serve drinks. I think I became a bartender before I ever had consumed a lot of alcohol, ever. Yeah. I watched, you do kind of learn people when you become a bartender too, because you can see how bad alcohol can transition someone's personality, how it becomes taboo. But alcohol is kind of a huge profitable margin that
I still think that we're talking about alcoholism with that dark cloud over it right now. That's how we talk about it.
And I still have a little bit of a dark cloud over alcohol. I can't help it. It's just the way we're raised.
We've all done silly things. If you drink and you drink too much, you've done some silly things.
I've been drunk.
So the reason we bring these things up today is, there is a market in agriculture, especially agritourism, for artisan whiskeys. Craft breweries are a great example of it. And now wine that is, made out of the fresh fruits of a farm. And we have really wanted to expand our business into selling wine made from our strawberries and possibly other things we grow on the farm. So the reason we talked about this, one of the reasons we want to talk about this is how will people receive it? I'm sure there'll be some negatives. There's some positives. So let's talk about those things. What are the positives to having, you can go right to the basis of it. Number one, you don't have as much waste. You have all these strawberries that get picked or bruised or a little old but not as pretty. Well, we're going to throw them out there, send them to the hog yard, or we can make something. We can value add them and have something to sell, right?
And like you said, value added agriculture is the future of agriculture. It's how a lot of farms have saved their farms, because every little piece of fruit that you waste, you have still dedicated your fertilizer, your man labor, your time in creating that fruit. Just because it starts to go bad does not mean you don't already have money invested in that product.
So wine is a ready-made way of value adding. It's relatively easy.
And it's actually got higher profit margins than that of even, jam. A lot of people will take strawberries and make strawberry jam out of them, but it's still does not produce as much wine, and you can't sell it on the same margin as you can sell strawberries. You can make a bottle of wine for $25 with the same amount of strawberries that you make a glass jar of strawberry jam for, $6 versus $25. There's no competition.
You mean like what you're going to charge for it, right?
What you're going to charge for.
So your profit margins can be higher. Because
and you still have the same amount of money invested.
You're offering it to a different market, obviously.
Exactly.
You're also, so, let's... number one, you need to market it. Let's talk about marketing. You're marketing alcohol obviously to adults. You're to a particular group of people who like wine, especially fruit wines. Number one, a lot of people I know don't even want to drink or the kind of wines that are made a lot of times. But number one, I've seen a lot of homemade wines that weren't made properly.
Yes. And
they are sweet and they make you sick. They give you a real bad stomach ache because it's just like drinking a lot of fruit juice.
Well, and even farms that produce alcohol still have to follow the guidelines of health departments.
So it puts you into a situation where you've got to do it right.
Liability.
Right.
And there's so many liabilities that come with alcohol beyond just making it. What about when people drink it? Are you going to allow people to drink it on premise? Do you allow them to come down here and have a few glasses of wine? How do you control how much alcohol is consumed? Because as far as I know from being a bartender, ALE laws make it where if somebody gets drunk in your presence and you're the one serving them the alcohol, making the money from it, you're responsible.
So wouldn't there be a difference? There's a difference between having a place that serves alcohol by the drink and so having a place that sells wine in a bottle, right?
Yes.
That's a difference.
Yeah, I think it draws away a lot of liability, but at the same time, I think it takes away your profit margins because a lot of places will sell wine by the glass for like $7 or $8.
You make your money on a glass of something, not a bottle of it.
It's like 4 glasses of wine.
That's a very definition retail market. You divide something up as much as possible.
Keep adding on those margins. Just think about what you pay for a bottle of liquor at the ABC store, $20, but you go and have.
For you people who are listening out of the North Carolina state, the ABC store is where you go to buy spirits in North Carolina. Yeah, so, can't buy it off at the convenience store in North Carolina.
No, so the ABC store sells a bottle of liquor for $20. You go to a bar and you get a 2-ounce pour of liquor for $8. So to go back to the beginning of this conversation, to tell you how the minute my sister says liquor and we're recording, I'm like, hey, I'll start drawing up, because even though I like to drink, I don't drink a lot. I don't think I do. But one of the reasons is I just don't like the stigma that comes with it. But I also have a real problem with being hypocritical. Yes. So I don't shun people who drink. I like it. I do make fun of the craft brewery scene in Western North Carolina because it's so overblown. It's saturated. It's a little oversaturated.
It's oversaturated, and it typically appeals to a type of people. I've got friends in every spectrum of the world, but people who get a little bit snobby, beer snobs, can sometimes just ruin the experience for people.
There's a commercial I keep seeing pop up where they're like trying to get this guy to drink a glass of beer, and it's like a Jim Beam commercial, and he's like, have this fresh beer brewed with goat's milk. And then the next guy, it's like shows this gargoyle dude, and he looks like from the Lord of the Rings. He's like, have this dark beer. And it's pretty funny, but that's I kind of can relate to that.
Well, we oversaturate anything in our this day and age, this era. We take something and run with it.
But you go back to your beer snobs. I'm not trying to be a snob in any sense of the word. It all tastes the same to me.
Yeah.
I some of it tastes.
This is not really a argument against beer or for beer.
I'm not against it. I love it. I support them. There's times where I'll go over there and buy one and take a few sips off of it and just thank you so much. I support your local business.
The idea is that wine is easier to get, produce, and sell on an agricultural basis because
it's easier to get your license.
I didn't even know. So let's talk about that because that's the area I don't know anything about. Talk about the licenses for this type of stuff.
Good question. The hardest place you'll ever try to get in touch with would be your local ALE. There's so many rules and hoops. Being out of city limits, I have learned, is just even more of a nightmare because most liquor laws in what I like to call blue ribbon towns are usually restricted within city limits, just like Bryson City is. So in order to be able to serve alcohol outside city limits and county limits where we're located, you have to kind of work on
you have to find
the back end rules.
Aren't there special ways like you can be a club?
Like resorts, you can say you're going to have like competitions, which I say this, but I don't even know if this is like completely accurate. I just know that people tell me.
It's almost like an old wife sale. You can sell liquor if you have like a tennis court behind the house.
I've heard people like, why don't y'all sell alcohol? I'm like, well, we can't get in. They're like, oh, well, if y'all have like a cornhole competition.
It's a good reason to talk about too, because we're still learning how to touch on topics. Is that one of the reasons we're talking about this is we are asked about it on a regular basis. Why don't we serve alcohol? Why aren't you making your own wines and selling them? And one of the things I tell people we are looking into these things. We just are a very busy farm. Afton and I run it, manage it.
Basically. And
we're unsure about it. We want to do these things if they're. I don't want to be looked at as. It's one of the same reasons. And we'll get into this. Is the topic for another day that we don't do CBD and THC products on our farm. Not that we have a problem with them necessarily. I just sometimes don't like the stigma and the reputation that comes with them because we're a family farm and we want to feed you with good food, fresh food, healthy food, and a healthy environment to bring your children to.
That's our niche. Our niche is
family. We're a family farm for families to come enjoy, and we don't want to bring things down here and have things that aren't going to be family friendly.
Yeah, I want everybody to be able to enjoy something down here, and I'm not saying, and I'm not throwing that people who drink aren't family
exactly.
Oriented.
We drink.
I'd be
we
a liar
are not.
If I said if I didn't
we
have a
drink.
With
Let's establish that on this podcast. We drink.
Yeah.
We just. Typically, I don't overdrink. Typically, getting to be that time of year, late in the winter.
It's
now.
hard
I'm
to
thinking
control.
about it.
We have so many facets of this farm already. How do you control? We have so many people pulling in. You have thousands of people down here. Everybody's understaffed. Everybody's shortages. What are the rules with making sure we don't have a bouncer, someone to legally look after? I worked at the casino as a bartender. They have security cameras everywhere. They can watch somebody do something stupid. So alcohol on the farm is something that I think we want to venture toward. We're just not sure how we're going to venture it. It might be something that we use on a smaller scale. Something in my
mind, the way you start with alcohol on a farm like ours, where we're agritourism. In neck deep, and we have been since the beginning. I feel like we're one of the older agritourism farms, but we're a fruit producer. We were always fruit producers, so we have fruit. So wine is easy to work with. So the idea would be that we can make it and we can sell it by the bottle. And if you don't want to buy wine, if you're against it, you don't have to buy it. It's kind of like a radio show or a podcast. But if you are interested in it, and I've seen a lot of people buy wine from places that's just a novelty to put on the shelf and say, "Hey, I got a bottle of wine," and I want to put the time in to do it right. So I guess what we're saying is we're going to study this. We're going to figure out what works for us, and we're pretty sure that wine is the direction to go in to begin with. But eventually, we'd like to have a farm in the position where we can have a restaurant and possibly be able to serve drinks, and ideally serve drinks that have ingredients that are grown on our farm. That would be the most amazing and interesting thing. The concept of eating food in a restaurant and looking out the back door and knowing the things you're eating, the drinks you're drinking, all had some product in them produced right there on that
farm. And
farm.
if craft beer drinkers want to come down and make fun of our wine the same way we gave them a hard time about their craft beer, we're totally fine. It's fair game.
We can throw some hops in that wine if you want to.
We'll hop that thing right up. We'll make that thing. I'll get some Pine Sol. What's some Pine Sol? That's what I'm just kidding. That's
I think you say Pine Sol. I think gin. So it smells
No,
like a
it does.
Christmas
It smells like gin. I hate it.
All right, guys. So that's it for our talk on alcohol. We'll revisit this when we've got a better feel for it. And if anybody wants any comments, any suggestions, keep them positive because we won't feel much negative stuff because we're in a positive frame of mind down here and we're all about keeping everybody in a good mood. So positive comments, ideas, and questions, please post them, put them on there. We'll get back to you as fast as we can. See you.